question is that the motion be agreed to. The Honourable Annette King.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Labor welcomes this bill, the Home and Community Support Payment for Travel Between Clients Settlement Bill. It is a settlement of a long-running case, because several years ago the Human Rights Commission ruled that travel time should be remunerated. So I want to begin at the beginning and give credit to Tamara Badley, who bravely took a test case on behalf of hundreds of fellow home care workers. Let me tell you about Tamara Badley. She is a member of the former Service and Food Workers Union, now a combined union with the EPMU called ETU. She was working with the union, who filed a test case with the Employment Relations Authority in 2013. At that time, the union secretary, John Ryle, described the situation as a serious injustice and needed to be remedied. Tamara was paid $14.80 an hour for the home visit she did when she was helping the clients that she had responsibility for. Her work included showering these older people, dressing them, feeding them, and checking to see if they had taken their medication. In one day, her round covered 12 calls around the city in her old ageing Hyundai. And for that, she got an allowance of 33 cents a kilometre, but she got absolutely no payment for the time she spent travelling from one client to the next client. That was treated as if it was her own time, as if she was somehow having a rest or on holiday, or it was tea break. But of course, to go from one client to the next client, it took time to travel there. And what we know is there are many people who work in New Zealand who travel from one job to another, and there wouldn't be a person in this House who hasn't had to call out a plumber or an electrician, only to find that you are also included in the cost that you get, the cost of them travelling to come to your job, but not for home care workers. And I thought maybe it had taken so long because of some of the attitudes that we have towards work that women do. And I was really staggered when I heard the Prime Minister say recently that he didn't think it was discrimination to pay women less. It's just the occupation they're typically involved in. Can you see the irony in that? Women are paid less because they're in caring occupations, occupations that require them to go in and look after old, vulnerable people. They don't fix things like your plumbing or your electrical wiring. They care for human beings. And because they are in these industries that women are normally in, somehow or rather, it's been all right to pay them less. And certainly to pay them less when it comes to the payment of travel. The former EEO Commissioner under the Human Rights Commission, Dr. Judy McGregor, an amazing woman in my view, a courageous woman, a woman with conviction, who brought out a report called Caring Counts about 2013. Or was it a little earlier? I can't quite remember. It was an amazing report with many recommendations. She didn't just believe what she was told, she went in and worked in the community and in rest homes to see what actually happened to those who are the carers in them. From her conviction and from what she saw, she decided to get a legal opinion which concluded that there was a good argument that the travel time between clients constituted work under the Minimum Wage Act. And I thought to myself, imagine any of us, perhaps the member for Whanganui, who travels in his car, or the member for Palmerston North, who travels in his car from their electorate to Wellington. that if their pay was docked or they weren't paid when they were travelling to come to work, because that is the effect of what was happening to these many women. And so Judy McGregor, as I said, heard the cases, as we did in Labour, and they heard cases, and Jonathan Young may have even read this case because it was from his electorate, and I would hope that he put some energy into advocating for them. But Trudy Fairtenby of Taranaki, you know, in 2 days she clocked up 160 kilometres over 2 weeks. She tracked between her clients in their homes in Bell Block all the way out to Waitara and back again. And at that time, there were 12,000 home care workers affected. And as home care grows, there will be even greater demand by older, vulnerable, disabled people wanting to stay in their own home. And they want to stay in their own home because that's the place they know, and they're close to friends and neighbours. And in effect, they save hundreds of millions of dollars by not needing residential care. The cost of residential care and the subsidy that is provided is hundreds of dollars a week. And these people, by staying at home with good quality carers, are saving the taxpayers a heap of money. And they'll only be able to do that if we retain the health workforce that provides the service. And those who provide this service are the lowest paid. The home care workers are the lowest paid in New Zealand, doing some of the hardest work you could ever do. Anybody that has done any of that sort of work, and I know there are people on this side of the house who have, know that it is hard, grinding work, but very, very rewarding. But the turnover of staff is huge. As high as 30 and 40%, low paid, little recognition. So this bill is a very important first step. And I say a first step because there are still things to deal with for home care and community support workers, and that includes the historic underpayment of them, not just for their travel, but for what we pay for the value of the work that they do. But this bill does settle an agreement, and it is an agreement between the Crown, the District Health Boards, providers of home and community-based and support services, employers, and certain unions on behalf of the home and community-based and support employees. It supports an agreement that was reached for the payment of travel time between the parties, and as the bill says, Mr. Speaker, it seeks to ensure an enduring, affordable and sustainable solution for paying home care support employees for the time and the cost of travelling between their clients. And it has a phase-in, a transition, if you like, over 2 time periods. Home care and support employees will receive payment from the 1st of July 2015, so it's got a retrospective part to it because it's backdated to then, and they will be paid for time spent travelling between that time till the 29th of February 2016, and the payment will be calculated, and I won't go into it because I haven't got time and we'll get to that, but then from March 2016 the payment will be calculated again, and this will then be prescribed in our regulation. It does extinguish any other claims. Now that you might say, oh, doesn't that sound a bit dicey? But it was an agreement reached between the parties, and we need to honour that agreement and support that. Maybe some will feel a bit squirmish about extinguishing other claims. But to settle this, because it was incredibly complex and could have been incredibly expensive trying to work out back pay going back many, many years, probably there's a few people here that could have put in a claim. But because it was an agreement that it does extinguish other claims, then we need to support it. So, Mr. Speaker, we welcome this bill. We welcome it at the very good Health Select Committee, where we will no doubt hear submissions from the public on it. It is a good step along the way of recognising some of the hardest working, most valuable workforce we have in New Zealand overwhelmingly a women workforce.